Still feels terrible to be stuck, but at least we're being disciplined, playing a game we know, and moving in the right direction again.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh man, it is that time of year again. I can't wait. I'm feeling like when I was 6 years old and it was Christmas Eve and I just couldn't wait to get up in the morning. Oh man, Christmas is almost here. Maybe for you were Jewish and maybe you thought I don't know why I said it that way. You were Jewish back then. But maybe it was Hanukkah where you got 12 days to celebrate. But we get a month and a half of what Pokerface Ash in our recent interview called Poker Christmas, and that is the WSOP. It is here. I love it. Can't wait. We're about to fly out tomorrow, head down to Vegas, and play a bunch of cash games. Maybe get involved in some tournaments and see what happens. Can't wait to bring you all the action. But before we get to any of that, I need to wrap up this week that I've been working on for a long time. So I took that week off of work. I showed you episode number 1 where I got absolutely destroyed playing some terrible PLO. All right, so we're stuck because of PLO. We get a couple of these wins back and we're getting close. I get the $800 win. I stack a couple of other wins on there. I've made another like $600-ish. So I'm stuck about $1,000. Somewhere along that lines for this week because I lost $2,400 in that first big session of PLO for the week. All right, here's the setup to this hand. It's 1-3. I've got $500 in my stack, and I am the straddle to $6. The player to my left is a friend of mine who plays fairly tight. He doesn't really get too out of line, doesn't really get wild with his hands. He's willing to make a tight fold, and I think ultimately it makes him a winning player in this game. However, I'm aware that he's willing to make a really tight fold, and so that's in my brain going into this hand. Now, I haven't looked at my cards yet, and the way I like to play when I'm not filming at the table is I like to allow action to occur in front of me and then take a look at my cards. It allows me to see what players are doing, how they're reacting, how they're looking at their cards. And what happens is there's an open to 15 and then 5 callers. So there is a ton of dead money sitting on this table. We got $90 in the pot. It is now on me. And before I looked at my cards, I said, okay, if I have an ace blocker to reduce the likelihood that he's holding pocket aces, then I'm going to feel pretty good about making a move here. I look down at my cards and I see ace 6 offsuit. Not the weapons I was hoping for. I would prefer to have something suited or prefer to have like a stronger ace, like ace 10 even. But okay. I told myself if I have the ace blocker, this is just a great spot to make an exploitable play. I don't think anybody else is going to be able to make a call of a huge raise here because they've all just chosen to call. I'm not going to be expecting strong pocket pairs, strong aces, anything that's really going to want to play back at me for a very expensive price, other than I just have to worry about the player to my left, who again should be able to make a strong fold. A tight fold. Like he's going to be able to go, okay, I have pocket jacks. This looks really strong, rather than try to play knowing that I'm probably going to be putting more chips in the middle and having to decide, do I want to go all the way with jacks? I think he's of the mindset, and I think this works for him very well in this game of like, hey, I can get away from this for $15 and not worry about maybe missing out on a tiny bit of equity. I'll pick a better spot. So that's my game plan. I make it $150, leaving myself $350 in my stack, figuring that if he makes the call, I basically have a 1-to-1 SPR, and I'm going to put him to the test on every single flop. It's going to be hard for him to call on every single flop unless he has the absolute nuts. If he rips it right here, okay, I'll get away. If he goes for it pre-flop, then I'll fold. That's fine. But if he doesn't, I'm jamming, and he's going to have a hard time calling. Just because this looks like aces, it looks like kings, it looks like just a massive hand. And depending on what the board is, then you have all the potential for sets and everything else, right? So I feel pretty good about it. So I fire the $150 bet, and now we're waiting for him to make a decision, and he doesn't make it quickly. Oh no. What have I done? I stepped in it. Or did I? After a long time, he finally lets go, and I'm like, okay, this could be ace, king, jack, something like that. But it worked. Made it. I'm going to be able to scoop this $90. But then, twist! It gets really interesting. I get 3 callers. This is terrible news. I was not expecting 3 callers. Oh no. I think this is just a bad call from players who have chosen to flat, and then like, well, I don't want to get away from this hand. That first guy called. I guess I'll throw the money in. Anyway, we're into uncharted waters. I was not expecting this. I thought if it gets through the guy to my left, this pot's mine. I don't have to think any further. This kind of feels like I went to rob a bank. They handed me all the bags of money. There were no security guards, and when I turned around, instead of security guards having pulled guns on me, there's like other robbers that showed up to the bank who were like, wait, I'll take that. Give me that. So I got 3 people pointing a gun at me all of a sudden that want this money as well. All right, we got to do some battle. $630 in the pot, and the flop comes Jack, 9, Queen. There's 3 players. I have like a half pot size bet remaining, so I can't put a ton of pressure on anybody, but basically I can make them decide for their entire stack on the flop, do they want to continue? I think we're in a weird spot here where our opponents are going to have some equity. They're going to have some sets. I think all the lower pairs are going to end up having to fold. They didn't flop a set, so I think they're going to end up getting away. All your pocket 5s, 6s, 7s, all that stuff that's going to call pre-flop, miss the flop, and then go, all right, I can't call for my entire stack. I'm going to let this one go. Now, if I jam, it's not going to work a ton, but it doesn't have to work a ton based on the price that I'm putting in, the amount of money I'm putting in for the pot that's out there. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to have opponents who have fairly capped ranges, right? They're going to have a lot of those lower pairs that are going to have a hard time calling. If they do call, I can still hit an ace. I'm going to have some club draws that I think have made it this far. Some combo draws are possible. I think even if you're holding like ace jack here, I think it's really hard to call off your entire stack when there's an overcard on the board, plus I'm representing the aces and kings, right? So I think there's going to be some folds, even from hands that are better than ours when we jam. And for that reason, the incentive, the pot that's out there is too good. I go ahead and rip it. And gets to the first player, he folds. Okay, good. Second player, he calls. The player after him, he calls. Oh, it's over. We've lost. Turn is a 6. All right, we have some chance if we hit an ace or a 6 that maybe we could take this pot down still. The river is a 3 of hearts. We're losing, right? I say I've got 1 pair. First player announces, I missed. Okay. What do you have, sir? He says, I was close, but I missed. Yes! A pair of 6s takes it down. Check out this photo. There's money all over the table, and somehow this ingenious play of mine that completely backfired still turns out to be a brilliant move. We scoop $1,000 in profit. Yeah. And now we're even. Finally even. It feels so good. This hand was amazing. I didn't expect that to show down these cards. I thought this hand was ending pre-flop when the guy to my left folds. And when it went this way, I thought, oh no, there's no way I'm ever winning once I get called on this flop, unless I go runner. When I didn't, I thought, all right, it's over. But hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And in this case, it was very nice to be lucky. Pretty stinking awesome. That's the end of that. And let me just say one more thing about tilt, and then we're going to talk about what's coming up next. I think probably the most interesting part of this week was that I took this time off. I put myself in the hole, and mentally it was very hard for me to be patient. And I think this is something that comes up often in our poker careers, is we take a big loss, and it's good for us to step back and to ask, okay, what just happened, and what do I need to do? And it's really easy to chase in those moments. And I think when you're chasing, it's really easy to light money on fire because your mind's not right. And when your mind's not right, you probably shouldn't be at the poker table. So I lose that big session. I end up walking away. I come back and play Hold'em instead of PLO because I just know it so much better. It goes really well. I'm able to rebuild the stack. Yes, I definitely got lucky in that ace-6 hand. No, I don't deserve that win, but occasionally you're going to get variance to the positive. I will take it. Important to step back and say, hey, poker is one gigantic session over the course of your life, not just these little, this is a session. We call it a session, right? I spent 6 hours. I played a session. But really, poker is one gigantic chunk of variance that ebbs and flows, right? It's just going to come and go, and you got to ride out all the negative along with the positive. Let's talk about the World Series because I'm so excited to get to it. It's coming up next. I'm going to be really brief with this. Here's what we're going to be doing in this series. I'm meeting up with Jess. Can't wait. It's going to be a ton of fun. And we decided that we're going to do this stakes challenge. So we're going to be playing at 1-3 to start. If we have a winning session at 1-3, we're moving up to 2-5. If we have a winning session at 2-5, we're moving up to 5-10. If we win there, we're going up to 10-20. And I'm just going to see how high we can run this thing. I'm going to play some PLO while I'm there. Probably going to fire at least one tournament while I'm in town because it's WSOP. How can you not play at least one poker tournament, one big event? Should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to bring it all to you. I'm going to be bringing you lots of footage. I've got all kinds of things coming up, and I hope you'll follow this channel so you don't miss anything. Can't wait. Tons of content coming your way from the WSOP. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this and you're up for helping the channel out, like it and sub it below. I'll see you for the next one.